Welcome to the Reasonable Southerner podcast. The South isn't all magnolias in the moonlight, but neither is it all racism and violence. We are just like you. My name is Frances Coleman. I share my insights about my life and yours. Yes, the times are changing, but manners still matter. There are some hard things about getting older. It's not just the misplaced flesh or the realization that I will never again be a girl anything, or even the certain knowledge that unless I live to be 130 years old, my trip around this earth is more than halfway over. It's the fact that society, life, and, shockingly for me, manners have changed beneath my feet in a way that has bedeviled oldsters for centuries. O tempora, O mores, O the times, O the customs, the ancients cried. A couple of thousand years ago, folks at my stage in life lamented the follies of the young just as I am doing now. I get that. It doesn't make it any easier, however. I'm not talking about how young people move in with one another and then out as quickly as people of my generation used to change wardrobes by the season. Nor am I talking about a pet peeve of mine, how spectators during graduations, weddings, and other important events whoop like indigenous warriors to cheer on their loved ones. Nor am I referring to the kind of rude bluster with which our nation seems so enamored. I'm recalling Eric Hoffer's words, "Rudeness is the weak man's imitation of strength." I'm talking about something downright every day, usually 3 times a day. Table manners. Writing about table manners is nothing new. In the 1500s, a book on the subject advised that it is not polite, while at the table, to scratch your head or somewhere else. Table manners have been a best-selling topic ever since. I am subjected to a lot of cooking shows in my home. My husband, who does all of our cooking, is always looking for a new idea or a different way to prepare strange animal parts. Recently, as we watched a program about my favorite food, steak, my desire for good table manners blossomed into a raging obsession. This show was about steakhouses that are touted as either fine dining or just really good steak joints. Owners, chefs, and food critics talked about the experience with a couple of 30-somethings who are the stars of this particular show. In this episode, the 2 women went to a couple of steakhouses where the chefs described how wonderful the meat was, with a respectful nod to the joys of plenty of money to spend on food and good butchers. The 2 girls on the town gushed about the fat, the char, the butter, and even the potatoes. Then disaster struck. They began to eat. One of them mugged for the camera as the other chomped happily on a huge hunk of meat she had speared with her fork. As her face went through the gyrations of mastication, she prattled on with her mouth full of steak. She punctuated her homily on prime beef with pokes and gesticulations of her dinner fork. Her companion squealed and bubbled like a girl on a prom date. I'm not offended by squealing 30-year-old women, but I'm not drawn to them either. This probably accounts for the fact that I never went out on girls' nights. While I lacked the benefit of a youth consumed by umbrella drinks and sweetened tequila, I did have the benefit of a mother who taught me to have good table manners. When did it serve me? Maybe when I went to lunch with the personnel director of the first large newspaper that hired me. I knew I was there to let him, and through him the people who would be my bosses, take my measure. I had about as much wisdom and experience as any 22-year-old, not much. I also had good table manners. I kept my left hand in my lap. I didn't touch my food until all had been served. And I certainly didn't jab the air to drive home a point about my blindingly good writing skills. I just politely ate my lunch and engaged in polite conversation. I got the job. Bad manners don't portend the end of Western civilization. Manners change and evolve all the time. For all I know, mugging for the camera and the servers, waving your fork around may be perfectly acceptable nowadays. What I know for sure is that while someone's crude behavior at the table does distress me, good manners mean never being rude. Not by accident, anyway. You don't have to be a 60-something woman to heed screenwriter Bill Kelly's observation that good manners are just a way of showing other people that we have respect for them. So wave that fork if you want, but always respect others. If you do that, I'll accept the whooping and the chomping. From ancient Rome to my gal pals in the steak restaurant, genuine politeness is always in fashion, and respect for others is a timeless value that really matters. I'm Frances Coleman. I've worked for newspapers for more than 45 years, from Texas to my native Louisiana, and finally to my home near Mobile, Alabama. I've been a reporter, an editorial writer, a columnist, and an editorial page editor. I've commented on the BBC, been a guest on the Rachel Maddow Show, and had my column distributed nationwide. If you like this podcast, please follow it. It's free. And even if you don't like it, I hope you will find it thought-provoking.